Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullahi ve Berekatuhu. Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Ve salatu ve selamu ala Resulina ve Habibina ve tabi kulubina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecma'in. Rabbena atina min ledunke rahmeten ve lana min emrina raşada. The dua I recited is the dua of Ashabul Kahf. They are the example youth mentioned in the Quran. Fityatun amanu bi rabbihim ve zidnahum huda. Allah Ta'ala says that they were a young group of people. They were on the right track. They were following the right guidance, and Allah Ta'ala increased their knowledge and guidance. Islam has been transmitted to us across many generations, and scholars in the past generations, they made great sacrifice so that Islam is preserved and it reached to us without corruption in an authentic and reliable way. And today our mission as the present generation and your mission as the next generation is to preserve Islam as an emane, as a trust, and give it to the next generations without any corruption the same way. So today, when we pray, we are sure that this is exactly the same way Rasulullah alaihi wasallam prayed. And when we read the Quran, we are sure that this is exactly the same way Rasulullah alaihi wasallam recited the Quran. It's the same Quran. We know that there is no difference. No. And when we fast in Ramadan, we know that it's the same sound. When we make Hajj, we know that it's the same Hajj. You know, but now our project is to make sure that our children, grandchildren, grandchildren, you know, many generations later, they have the same authentic Quran without any corruption, same religion without any corruption. So Islam has been transmitted to us for 15 centuries, and now it's our job to make sure we make plans to make Islam survive for another 15 centuries without any corruption, without any change, inshallah ta'ala. So that's our generation, that's our mission today. But how are we going to prepare ourselves for it? In order to preserve our civilizational identity, we need to have intellectual independence. You know, what's intellectual independence? When a country technologically dependent on other countries, they import technology, we call it technologically dependent. And because they are importing technological products from other countries. And when they are dependent politically, we call it politically independent. When they are financially dependent, we call it financially dependent. But how about when they cannot produce ideas and import all the ideas from outside? This is what I call intellectual dependency, academic dependency. Okay? So if a group of people, if a society, if a country stops producing ideas and import all the ideas from outside, this is academic dependency, this is intellectual dependency. And unfortunately today, under the banner of modernization, westernization, you know, we are turned into intellectually dependent people. You know, we import all the sciences, all the ideas from other countries, especially from the West. So this is what I call intellectual dependency. So modernization should be understood as tajdeed, but not westernization. So there is a difference between tajdeed, which is renewal, and westernization. Westernization makes us dependent on the West. But tajdeed makes it independent because you grow on your feet, on your roots. So tradition, is not to keep the ashes, but tradition is to keep the fire going on. So that's our mission today, and your mission is how to keep the fire, go on for later generations, inshallah ta'ala. So the goal of Islamic education is to elevate students from the level of taqlid to tahqiq. Taqlid means dependency, intellectual dependency. Okay? Taqlid means knowledge without evidence, knowledge without proof. And tahqiq means knowledge with proof. So when you are educated in the educational system, the goal is to elevate you from taqlid to tahqiq. And this is true in aqidah, in fiqh, in akhlaq, in all sciences. Because young student starts without knowing the evidence. Learns that, okay, I have to do these things, I have to believe in these things, okay? But education makes him aware why this is so, why you should pray, why you should believe in Allah, why you should believe in messengers of Allah, why you should believe in the akhirah. So that's the purpose of education. And our Islamic education for so many centuries has been based on this idea. The goal is to elevate the student from the level of taqlid to the level of tahqiq. And tahqiq is the way to gain intellectual independence. Because if you know why things are the way they are, like why do you believe in Islam, why do you make salat, why do you fast, why do you adopt Islamic morality, why do you accept Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as your Rasul, as your Prophet, then you are intellectually independent. Okay? But without knowing, you are intellectually dependent on other people. And even in following our religion, we are requested to have tahqiq. But at the moment, when it comes to Western sciences and Western knowledge, we follow Western knowledge with taqlid, without tahqiq. And this is imitation. Even following our religion, it's not good to have imitation, but how about following Western science, through taqlid? And the Western science is not universal. It's only for the West, okay? Especially in the field of social sciences. But they present Western science from a Eurocentric perspective as if it is universal, objective, and it's common sense to accept it, okay? And but it's based on the Western values, but they market it as if it's value free. But when you bring in Islamic values, they say, no, don't bring in values. But how about your own values, your secular values, your liberal values, your Christian values? It's okay. They present it as if it's objective, is this neutral, it's value free. So the first thing you need to know is that Western science is not universal. It's for the Westerners only, because it's based on the Western values, Western culture, Western civilization. We have to have our own social sciences to become intellectually independent. And this idea that Western science is universal and everyone must accept it, this leads to other nations, other civilizations to become intellectually dependent on the West. Because the West becomes the only source of knowledge. And they make science, they produce science, you have to import it from them. So we have to relativize Western science and say, okay, this is good for the West, but it's not good for us. But social sciences, even in the West, did not solve their problems. So today Western societies have many problems, moral problems, ethical problems, social problems, economic problems. When I speak in the West, I tell them which problem of the Western society you have solved. So there are so many problems. Before I came here, I read that homelessness increased in America 18% last year. So where are the social scientists? What kind of solutions they are offering to solve this problem of homelessness? And the same way, like they legalized marijuana, drugs. So what are the social scientists? What kind of solution they are offering to this issue? So they are useless in their own country. How can they be useful for us? If they cannot solve the problems of their own societies, how they can solve our own problems? Okay? So that's why we have to develop our own perspective in sciences, in particular social sciences. And this is possible through rooted revival. Rooted revival. التجديد المؤصل. We need to be rooted in our tradition, but we should not be traditionalist. We should not be close-minded. We should have this perspective of tajdid. And our ulama always made tajdid. And in India, there are so many scholars who made tajdid. Tajdid means, tajdid does not mean making change in religion. Tajdid means how you implement your religion in the new circumstances. So today we are living in the postmodern age. How are we going to implement our religion in postmodern age? So we are living in digital age. We are living in the age of globalization. So how are we going to implement our religion in this age? So that's our question, and this requires tajdid. But tajdid al-mu'assal. Revival, but rooted in Islam, rooted in Quran, rooted in the Sunnah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. So today, I see that the biggest challenge for the whole world is postmodern ethics. And postmodern ethics is relativist, subjectivist, and individualistic. So they deny existence of truth. There is no truth. And I say, who says there is no truth? Somebody who's drunk. Somebody who has opium. That's why I say post-truth or postmodernity is the opium of humanity. Make people say there is no truth, as if they are drunk. As if they took some opium. So who denies truth? Like either you should be insane or drunk. So they say there is no truth. Okay, so everyone must make his own truth or her own truth. But if you are disconnected from any transcendental source, from the Quran, from Bible, from Bhagavad Gita, from any traditional source, how are you going to decide what's the right thing to do? They say follow your feelings. If you follow your feelings, you become like animals. You become asfali safilin, just following hawa. So this is hawa. And in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Haven't you seen the one who follows his feelings, his desires, turning desires into God and becoming slave of the desires, becoming slave of the feelings. So they say, if you feel good, do it. At Harvard University, there is an ethics course. And do you know how the professor tries to convince the students to be ethical? he says, if you are ethical, you will feel good. You know, so this is a very flimsy foundation to be ethical. You know, so that's why I am trying to revive futuwa ethics. Futuwa means youth ethics grounded in the sunnah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. And this is the most important thing that we need to take care today. We cannot accept postmodern ethics, which is completely relativist, subjective, and this is called in our tradition ibahiyya. Ibahiyya. You know, they think everything is mubah. There is no halal and haram. You know, in the past there were people like this. They were called ibahiyun. So this is the contemporary ibahiyya. You know, postmodernist, post-truth, this relativist. This is the contemporary ibahiyya. And against this contemporary ibahiyya, we need to revive the futuwa ethics deriving from the sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ and making a tajdid al-muassal, rooted revival, you know, and grant ourselves in the futuwa ethics and protect ourselves, becoming morally dependent on the West. This is moral dependency. If you think postmodern ethics is universal, it's common sense, objective, everyone must accept it, this is intellectual dependency, this is ethical dependency, this is moral dependency. You know, and how you become independent intellectually, morally, ethically, by grounding yourself in the sunnah of Rasulullah and having the sunnah ethics. Okay, so our young people should be sunnah boys, and our girls should be sunnah girls, following the sunnah of Rasulullah. And the sunnah is the key to be happy and successful. To be happy and successful, because the sunnah education is based on ta'lim and tazkiyah. In the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, يُعَلِّمُهُمْ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. So Rasulullah gave them ta'lim and tazkiyah. Ta'lim about rational education, professional education, career education, because every career is fard kifaya. You know, we must have Muslim engineers, Muslim chemists, you know, Muslim historians, and also faqih, you know, in all areas. That's ta'lim. And then the tazkiyah. Tazkiyah is about moral education, spiritual education. And the way to gain intellectual independence is to go through ta'lim and tazkiyah. So you as young people, you must go through ta'lim for academic education, for professional education, you know, and then the tazkiyah for spiritual education, for moral education. Then you become zul janahain, you know, someone with two wings. You know, science and career, and morality and spirituality. Then you can fly. This makes you happy and successful. Happy and successful. The purpose of Islam to make us happy. You know, the purpose of Islam is to make us happy. Allah Ta'ala gave us this religion so that we become happy and successful in this world and also in the hereafter. Look at the history of Arabs. There were some Badawi people, but after they accepted Islam, they built the biggest and most successful civilization in the world. Same thing with the history of Turks. Turks were nomads in Central Asia, but after they accepted Islam, they built one of the biggest, you know, empire in history. Big mosques, civilization, you know. So see how Islam changes. And today, we have a lot of people in the world accepting Islam. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. Statistically, all statistics show that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. And those enemies of Islam, they want to portray a bad picture of Islam, that Islam is not a religion of peace. But India is a good example that Islam is religion of peace. I call Islam an open civilization, open to other cultures and religions, because Islam is based on the concept of Adamiyya. Islam is for the whole humanity, Muslims and non-Muslims, Adamiyya. And one of the best example of this is how Islam was practiced in India. Muslims here coexisted in peace with the Hindus and Buddhists and with all other religions. And in other places, Muslims coexisted in peace with Christians and Jews. So Islam is not enemy of other religions. On the contrary, Islam is the best way for peaceful coexistence. Islam is the best way for diversity management. So, and at the foundation of this peaceful coexistence and Islamic open civilization lies futuwa ethics. And futuwa ethics is based on giving priority to others. Put others first. But today, postmodern ethics teaches us put yourself first. This is fardaniye, enaniye, egocentrism, individualism. This is the biggest problem today. And they spread this through education. They say if you put yourself first, you are serving your interest better. I believe the opposite. If you put yourself first, you are undermining your interest. Because if you put yourself first, you have no friends, no family members to come and support you. Okay? But if you put others first, then when you need, they will come to support you because you supported them. You made sacrifice for them, right? So this is what's called in sociology social capital. Social capital. How many people can loan you money? How many people will come to visit you when you are sick? How many people, will come to your help when you need help? If there is individualism, no one will come to your help. When you get sick, no one will come to visit you. When you need any money, no one will give you any loan. So that's individualism, and Islamic perspective is just opposite. Put others first. And this is called ithar. Ithar means altruism. Islamic ethics and morality, in the Sunnah is based on altruism, which is giving priority to others. I made an experiment over the summer. I was talking to some young people. I told them there is one cup of water. You are thirsty and you have a friend, he is also thirsty. Who will drink this cup of water? And everyone said, I will drink it. I'm not going to give it to my friend. I said, if your grandfather were in this position, who would drink water? And they said, okay, my grandfather would give it to his friend. And then I said, if Prophet Muhammad, was in this place, who would drink the water? They said he would give water to his friend. I said, what happened to you? Why did you change? Your Rasul, your Nabi, and your grandfather, your ancestors, they practiced altruism. Why you became egoist? Why you became egocentric? They said, oh, this is because of our education. So, see, this is a consequences of intellectual dependency. If you borrow your akhlaq from others, if you are fool, to think that Western postmodernism is universal, then this is how you end up. This is what happens to you. So, inshallah, today our mission is to revive Islam as an open civilization, for the whole world. And the way to do it is through rooted revival, التجديد المؤصل, in every area, in the area of sciences as well as in the area of morality, akhlaq. And that's the most important thing for us to gain intellectual independence. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.